welcome to our English news edition. Here are our major stories for tonight. Awareness raising to improve the management of migratory flows in Djibouti took place in Tadjoura. And on the campaign for the presidential election in Mali. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The Minister of Economy and Finances, Ilyas Moussedouali, has in an interview enlightened us on the many infrastructures that Djibouti has developed in recent years so that the country remains competitive and confirms its position as a regional hub. All of these infrastructures had to be completed by an airport component, he said. The Minister of Economy and Finances, Ilyas Moussedouali, has at length talked about the telecommunication land cables that go through Djibouti have been also set up. The new reconfiguration in the region, including the reconciliation between Ethiopia and Eritrea, has raised in recent weeks many questions, raising fears for some relocation of Ethiopian import activities to other ports. For the Minister of Economy and Finance, this is a simple trivia and unfounded fears. Djibouti has already prepared for such eventualities of rapprochement between the two countries, and the numerous infrastructures developed put our country in a comfortable situation. Because of its strategic position, many of the great powers of this world have impatience to settle in Djibouti. Mr. Ilyas Moussedouali said that Djibouti remains a land of meeting and exchanges. Continuing with the national news, the Ministry of Health has inaugurated yesterday the second wing of psychiatry at Peltier General Hospital, which was renovated. Accompanied by Secretary General Dr. Salah Benoit Tourab, the minister was greeted on arrival by Peltier Hospital Director Mr. Hussein Mohammed Hussein and the Chief Medical Officer of Psychiatry Dr. Aid Weiss. Many of the Chief Medical Officers also took part in this inaugural session, which marks the entry into service of this brand new unit of psychiatry. The guided tour was conducted by the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Aid Weiss, who presented the various services as well as the innovations made in the right wing of psychiatry. In January 2018, the left wing of psychiatry had already benefited from a complete renovation of 8 hospitals rooms with a little capacity of 20 beds. This is a second phase involving rehabilitation of 16 rooms with a capacity of 45 beds, 2 isolation rooms to be required standards and treatment rooms. With the allocation of qualified staff in sufficient numbers and doubling literal capacity, these recent renovations of psychiatry units are part of a more global vision to enhance the quality of services and establish a framework of high standing in our hospitals. In his speech, the Chief Medical Officer reaffirmed his full satisfaction with the renovations and the standard setting of these hospital rooms, welcoming the efforts made by the Ministry of Health. And for its part, the director of the Peltier General Hospital reminded the objective of these recent improvements under the leadership of the Minister of Health, who made a point of honor to ensure optimal conditions of stay for patients of psychiatry. Aware of the strategic geographical situation of the Republic of Djibouti in the context of migratory flows and the increasing challenges encountered, the Ministry of Justice and Penitentiary Affairs in charge of human rights, as well as the State Secretariat for Youth and Sports, have joined their efforts to mark the World Day for Dignity of Victims of Human Trafficking. Supported by the program Improving the Management of Migration Flows, which is funded by the European Union and the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, 3 days of celebration will be organized, and these days from 28 to 30 July in Tadjoura will be dedicated to sensitize young people on the current migratory situation and to reflect together with the national institutions on the challenges encountered and how to deal with them, especially in the fight against the human trafficking. To this end, teams of young people from the region of Dakhil Ali Sibih Obok in Tadjoura will meet in football and handball around theme Migrants Someday, Humans Always. Let's protect our fellow men. In parallel, representative of regional entities and national agencies will discuss the migration challenges faced by the country and how to manage them. And after the interventions of the participants in the workshop aimed at improving the situation of the migrants in Tadjoura, the Deputy Prefect, Mr. Habib Jilani, congratulated the organizers for this initiative on the theme of migration, which is not only present in the Tadjoura region, he said, but in the whole of the Republic of Djibouti. A large Chinese delegation led by the director of Chinese hospital recently visited the RTD region to visit the sanitary facilities in the RTD region hospital, where many Chinese doctors are working. On his arrival, the delegation had a first meeting with the administrative authorities and elected officials of the RTD region, whose Deputy Prefect, Mr. Mohammed Fauzi, in the presence of Regional Director of the CNSS. The discussions focused on excellence in cooperation with the Chinese side, which supports Djibouti and the RTD region in many areas, especially in the health sector. Subsequently, the Chinese delegation went to Arta Regional Hospital run by CNSS, welcomed by the doctors stationed in the Arta Hospital. The Chinese delegation visited the various departments of the Arta Hospital, namely the operating theater and the pharmacy of the hospital. Chinese doctors work in this hospital alongside the Djiboutian doctors. Health personnel gave technical information to the Chinese delegation on the functioning and capacity of the reference hospital of Tadjoura, which is an important health facility that provides specialized care to Djiboutians in the population of Arta. The Obo Community Development Center hosted an honorary ceremony yesterday morning, organized by the Ado Association in partnership with the U.S. Army. The day saw the participation of the President of Obok Regional Council, Mr. Mohammed Hamad Ismail, Deputy Prefect, Mr. Amin Shamsan, the President of Ado, Mr. Mohammed Mullah Burhan, Deputy Director of Sport Department, Ali Dini Mohammed, a strong delegation of the U.S. Army on the one hand, and the representative of the Military and Judicial Authorities, Customary Chief, representative of Youth Association, Women, to give strength and vigor to the fight of each day. In his speech, the president of the association, ADO, Mr. Mohammed Mullah, recalled that it is for the third time that ADO has part of its program against idleness and juvenile delinquency in its fights through vocational training and capacity building for our young people in a foreign language. On the other hand, Mr. Mullah is delighted by the success of our young people, congratulating them and thank the U.S. military for their support and effort to support for the youth.
Ceremony, and I just want to give a round of applause to the students that come every week. They work very hard. They come every week. They're ready to learn, and it's good. Education is always a good thing to build on, and so we're happy that they have that desire to build on education, and we want to keep the relationship going, and we hope that the EDGs continue to be successful.
Students, I want to thank you for allowing us to be here. This ceremony is something, it's beyond our wildest dreams. We greatly appreciate it. We did not expect this. The next ceremony is much bigger and we have more students because that is our goal. The students have worked very hard and we are very proud of them. And without delay, I would like to start to honor them, and we'll start to hand out their certificates. Thank you very much.
And moving on to the international news, the end of campaign for the presidential election in Mali. More with Mohamed Aden.
Sunday's presidential campaign closed on Friday night in Mali. More than 8 million Malians are going to the polls Sunday to reappoint President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, elected in 2013 after the international intervention against the jihadists, or to give their favor to one of his 23 competitors, including the leaders of the opposition, Soumaïla Cissé. The international community, present militarily with the UN missions MINUSMA and the French forces Barkhane, expects from this election a relaunch of the implementation of the peace agreement signed in June 2015 between the government camp and the ex-rebellion dominant Tuareg, application that accumulated delays. Despite this agreement, jihadist violence not only persisted but spread from the north to the center and south of the country, then the neighboring Burkina Faso and the Niger, often intermingled with intercommunal conflict. At least 3 Pearl civilians were killed in the center Wednesday during an attack attributed.
Gaza, death of a Palestinian teenager wounded by Israeli gunfire. More with Mohammed Aden Mutsingel.
After the death of a 12-year-old Palestinian, a teenager succumbed to his injuries Saturday, bringing to the number of Palestinians killed in Friday's protest. A 12-year-old Palestinian was shot in the head on Friday, July 27, by an Israeli soldier during a protest which resulted in clashing on the border between the movement-controlled Gaza Strip resistance, Hamas and Israel, according to the Gaza's Ministers of Health. On Saturday morning, another teenager succumbed to his injury, also inflicted by Israeli gunfire.
Icon of the Palestinian cause Ahad Tamimi is about to leave prison. More in this video.
A teenager imprisoned by Israel for hiding soldiers in her village in the occupied West Bank is due to be released Sunday after 8 months behind bars. Ahad Tamimi was arrested on December 19, 2017, a few days after being filmed in a viral video on the internet. The footage showed her and her cousin Nur Tamimi approaching 2 Israeli soldiers leaning on a low wall in the courtyards of her home in Nabi Saleh, a village in the Palestinian territory occupied by Israel for more than 50 years. The 2 girls asked them to leave and then quick punch and slap them. Palestinians praise Ahad Tamimi as an example of courage in the face of Israeli abuses in the occupied Palestinian territories. The trial of the teenagers in a military court received extensive media coverage.
Imran Khan's party has begun reaching out to potential coalition partners to form a government, according to spokesman Fawad Jodri. A text that analyzes said should be straightforward. More in this video.
Imran Khan's party it has begun talks with independents and small parties to form a coalition government after a result in Trump's in Pakistan's general election as rival parties plan protests over alleged voter again. Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party won 116 seats in Wednesday ballot, short of 137 needed for a simple majority, but is practically strong, showing that age fuels suspicions of ringing. The latest tally, which was imdated Saturday afternoon following long dailies, showed the outgoing Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz party in distance second place with 64 seats. Imran Khan's party has begun reaching out to potential coalition partners to form a government.
And that's all for this news. Thank you for joining us on Radio Television of Djibouti, and have a good night.